Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Obviously, having a week off has its benefits. There we are. And I need a morning coffee because I've been sleeping again. But that's not why you called. So, what do I want to talk about today? Well, there's been a ruling from the Supreme Court that teaching in a school in Northern Ireland, teaching Christianity, is apparently unlawful in religious studies. Yeah, you honestly couldn't make this shit up, could you? And people wonder why the United Kingdom is going down the toilet. Well, there's only one way this shit is going to end. Because the way I see it, this is just another thing to pile on to the number of things that the English are pissed off with. And the Irish, of course. Let's not forget them. Why is it they seem hell-bent on doing everything they can to wind up the English people? I'm not talking like one of those clockwork teddies where you just wind the fucking gear up on the back of them. No, I'm talking a proper wind-up, like trying to piss us off big time, trying to spark something big off. Why is that? It seems to me like this government is hell-bent for leather to try and get this all to kick off. Does Keir the traitor Starmer not know that the moment he starts a civil war in this country, his position will be completely untenable? He's not going to be able to stay in power. He will be the only Prime Minister known to man who has actively gone and incited the English people against him. He will be the only Prime Minister in history that has started a civil war in his own country. That's not something people just want to have a crown on their head for. That's not a title you want to be known for. At least anybody with the slightest brain cell is not going to want to be known for that, quite frankly. But perhaps even scarier still is the idea that people like Paul Thorpe want to say that we have to get a lot worse before we get better, but doesn't want to come out and flat out say we're going to have to go to war in our own country. At the end of the day, there are people who don't have the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to actually say it how it is. And it's a shame because right now, what the English and the Irish people need, and the Scottish, is they need the truth. Especially with what's happening with that RAF base over in Scotland, where illegal invaders from third world shitholes are currently residing. There are people in those... Come on, put your dentures back in. Right. In that RAF base that are treating the whole place like it owes it rent, basically. People losing their shit, threatening to throw shit. They're partying in those bases at our expense. Why is nobody in the mainstream media talking about this? Why is nobody in the government talking about this? I'll tell you why they're not talking about it. It's because they want this. They want this to happen. They want the United Kingdom to explode, because that's what it is. It is a ticking time bomb right now. And all it takes is for somebody to light the fuse, and all of a sudden, this country is going to go up just like that. But as I said, the moment that happens, Keir the traitor Starmer will have to resign. But what scares me even more is, as I've said before, is the idea that we could have a replacement Prime Minister in an instant that could be just as bad, or dare I say it, even worse. Andy Durham seems like an innocent man enough, but I'm sure, like a lot of politicians, that's just one mask that hides their true intentions. And what about Shabana Mahmood, the woman that we know full well what she is without her having to take her mask of deception off. She's categorically said that stroke number one, everything she does is for Islam. We know everything that she does, she categorically does for her faith, for her religion. So if we have somebody in power that is, well, before they even become Prime Minister, they're the fucking Deputy Prime Minister right now. They used to be the Home Secretary, sorry, not the Home Secretary, the Justice Secretary. If they're only going to follow what they believe is going to make their religion better, and they're following this this passage known as Taqiyya, I wish it was tequila, because at least I could give it to my sister then. Anyway, they're apparently following this route of Taqiyya, where apparently they're allowed to lie in the name of Islam, if it benefits Islam. Well, I'll tell you this much. If it benefits Islam, do you think it's really going to benefit the UK? I don't think so. Or, the way I see it, is the chances of it benefiting the United Kingdom, I'd put down to about 5%, if we're lucky. I'd say it's more along the lines of 0, to be honest. Because I assure you, anything that benefits Islam, I am almost certain is not going to benefit the United Kingdom as a Christian country. That's the thing. When she puts Islam first, she's effectively saying she is putting her death cult filled with terrorists, rapists, and murderers up on the list. They're her highest priority, rather than the indigenous people. And the sad thing is, she will say things that make her look like that she is an alternative right-wing solution. Well, ironically, Islam is far right. Ironically. But I can assure you that everything this career politician does is nothing more than a smokescreen. Everything she does is merely to hide her true intentions. She wants this country under Sharia law. She wants this country run by people who worship Alan Snackbar. She wants this country to be rid of the pesky white menace that has been calling out Islam for the last 30 fucking years. That's what she wants. That's all it comes down to. And she wonders why, on top of the fact we've had the Pakistani rape gangs, she wonders why she gets called the P word, the 4-letter one, I think you know which one I mean. She wonders why she has to put up with being called the P word, and I'll be clear, I don't like racism. I'll be absolutely clear on that. I hate it. Hate it with a burning passion. But when you have people calling you a PAKI, what do you think could be the motive for that? Because I assure you, people don't just call you that for the sakes of it. Like, people won't call, well, maybe there are a few people you could say that call black people the N-word. But they're the most degenerate kinds of racists you can find. But as far as the Pakistani community is concerned, why do you think they're calling them that? Why do you think they're calling them that? I would put a good throw at the dartboard, as far as this is concerned. I would put my dart squarely in the middle and say that maybe it's because of the recent rapes and the gangs that are going along plying our women and children, in some cases, with alcohol and drugs, and then taking them over to their Turkish barbers or their vape shops or their Indian restaurants or whatever, and then passing them around 50 men. Maybe that's why people have a problem with the Pakistani community. And as I said, I am not condoning racism here in any way, shape or form. But the way I see it in most cases, there is usually a motive for why some people direct their hatred or their contempt towards a community. But in the left wing's case, usually they just can't stand the idea of people who are white calling out their treachery and bullshit. Hell, we've already seen time and time again that Shabana Mahmood has actively railed against white people in the same ways that Hamza Useless has railed on about white people with that old white gag where he was referring to all the people in positions of power. Maybe Shabana Mahmood showed the same levels of racism that she's getting in return. You know, the whole you push me, I push you back kind of thing. I can't stress enough, racism is wrong. But as I said, it usually doesn't come unprovoked. It usually doesn't come unless there is a byproduct of said community. In this case, the Pakistani community, the Pakistani Muslims primarily, who are attacking our women and children in the most egregious manners. So you can't sit here and say, oh, well, I've been a victim and we haven't done anything wrong. No. The Pakistani community has definitely got blood on its hands. And it certainly has something else on its hands as well. But we won't go into that. But put simply, it scares me the idea that if we get rid of Keir the traitor Starmer, we could have Shabana Mahmood walking into 10 Downing Street and ruling as our Prime Minister. That mere thought is enough to send a chill down even the bravest soldier's spine. Imagine your Christian country all of a sudden belongs to a Muslim Prime Minister who actively hates your guts, is against Christianity, supports her death cult religion, and would stop at nothing to ensure that more foreign invaders are brought in, because she was thinking about as well making it so that all the people that have come over here to the United Kingdom already, those who are already settling into our country illegally, she's thinking of naturalising them faster. She's thinking of instantly turning the tables and basically making them all British citizens. Now you'll notice I use the term British rather than English, because this country is English, not British. I think English is our true blood, not British. Let's get that right. But let's face it, I associate Britain with the oligarchy, nothing else. This should scare anybody who even has half a brain cell, because it then means that we could have potential terrorists, potential criminals, potential rapists, potential rape gang conductors. We could have all manners of different people that are now allowed to stay in this country from their third world shitholes to turn our great nation into a third world shithole. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. But let's put a bit of good news into this for once, because I know a lot of these channels, including myself, we often talk about the doom and gloom parts of things, the shitty aspects of life and what have you. Let's talk about a few good things. Well, a good thing, I should say. There's some lads from the United Kingdom, from England, who have decided they are going to grow a massive set of cojones and they're actually going to try and stop the boats, since Keir the traitor Starmer and of course the French police are so incapable of doing it themselves. How sad is it that we have got English lads who are volunteering to stop these boats, who have stopped more boats than our current government has. I think it just proves the point, though, more than anything, that we have the resources to actually stop these boats overnight. We could easily stop these fucking boats from landing on our shores and send them straight back. But of course, Keir the traitor Starmer doesn't want that, because that would go against his design, wouldn't it? I wish he'd got a better crayon set. Anyway, this goes completely against his design. But we will stop at nothing to make sure this country stays Christian. No matter what the judges say, no matter what... Stroke number 2. No matter what Keir the traitor Starmer says, and no matter what anybody else says, we will fight for this country. No matter what it takes. And I think the cold bitter truth is, whilst we're briefly on the subject, I think the cold bitter truth is, it is going to take this going to the absolute darkest depths that this country has ever been in. The lowest of the lowest points of the United Kingdom's history, where we end up going to war. I think it is going to take a revolution, or a civil war, or a military coup. None of which I condone, advocate, or justify, but I think the cold, bitter truth is those are the things that are required to ensure that we retain control of this country. Those are my honest thoughts, quite frankly. I think that is our only hope. As much as I am loath to say it, and don't want to say it, and don't want to advocate for it in any way, shape, or form. But we need to do more as far as helping those lads stop the boats is concerned. But even then, I will play devil's advocate here and say, even that's not enough. They can only do so much. They can send them back, but they can easily come back once again. What does it really come down to? It comes down to incentive. You see, a lot of people in the Houses of Treachery, Parliament, or maybe I was right first time, they love to say about, oh, we hear you, we hear the mass migration issue is a problem, we hear you. Kind of reminds me of the relation I had with Dead by Daylight, but that's beside the point. They keep on saying what the problems are, but they never offer up any solutions. Well, I can do it in 5 seconds. There is a problem with mass migration, and here's how we solve it. We take away any incentive to give them any benefits whatsoever. That's it. That's all you have to do. Take away all benefits. And good luck any of them thinking that they're going to benefit from us. Now this is pure coincidence. Just had another one of those red envelopes. Oh, Jesus Christ. These people, they just don't give up, do they? Mind you, they've sent these fucking things for years and they still haven't turned up. But we'll get to that later. All you have to do with these guys, take away all benefits from them. Take away the free hotels, take away the 3 square meals, take away the free money, take away the free phone, take away all of it. Because that's why they're coming here. They're not coming here just to, well, they say they're fleeing war. Anybody can say that. But if you recall, there are a lot of countries that they're coming from right now that are not actually in a war scenario. Syria, I grant, is, because obviously that faced the takeover from within, from the Islamic community, who do what they do best, which is they conquer and dominate. But I would argue that even Pakistan is currently not in war scenarios. I would argue Albania is not part of a war. I would argue that Algeria is not in a war. That's just to name 3 countries. That's just a few of them where some of these people come from. What about places like Saudi Arabia? What about places like Nepal? What about places like India? All not under war scenarios. I mean, Nepal, you could argue there was an uprising, but they're not part of a war. So any notion that these guys are fleeing war and fleeing persecution is bullshit, to be honest. But Shabana Mahmood is actively going out of her way to say, well, we need to think of the women and the children. Don't you want to see the children safe and sound? But here's the thing. Where the fuck are the children? If she thinks those fighting-age men are children, then my God, she needs to get her eyes tested, and I want whatever fucking drugs she's smoking right now. Because clearly she's not straight thinking. Because I can assure you right now, those are not children. They're fighting-age invaders. That's what they are. Yes, I grant, you may see the odd child, the odd woman that has migrated over here. But here's the thing. She herself has said she is a child of illegally migrated people. Illegal invaders came to this country, produced her. Now she's Deputy Prime Minister. That should scare you. That should really fucking scare you. And yet she's saying we need to fast track all these people that have already come here. She's saying that we need to do the humanitarian thing, that we have a humanitarian obligation to these people. No, we fucking don't. We've taken in far more migrants than any other fucking country on this planet. We have taken, or bare minimum most countries, we have taken in far more fucking illegals than any other fucking country, to be brutally honest. Why the fuck should we even entertain the idea that we should be housing these people? Tell you what, Shabana, why don't you house a few migrants? Why doesn't Keir the Traitor Starmer house a few migrants? Why doesn't Jess Phillips house a few migrants? What about Angela Rayner, Gary Lineker, the BBC? Why don't all you left-wing woke retards actually house these people? If you love them so much. Because this is where it pisses me off. We constantly get told, we constantly get gaslit, we constantly get wound up saying, we have a humanitarian cause, do we? Like fuck do we have a humanitarian mission to help these people? If these people were genuine refugees, genuine asylum seekers, and people genuinely fleeing war, then I'd say, yeah, we could probably take a few in. But the truth is, we've let in so many people that are not of those categories, that are not benefiting our society, and that are not interested in integrating, that we are already packed. Think of a teddy bear that you're just putting more stuffing into, even after the bloody thing's had its head removed. It fucks me off to no end to hear these dickheads constantly say, we need to take more in. No, we don't. Close the fucking borders. Then we need to take out the trash. Namely, the foreign invaders that have invaded here illegally, the criminals in this country that are not basically going to, well, the minor criminals like people who do like petty theft or whatever, unless they're going to reform, kick them out. Any of the other criminals, kick them out immediately. Anybody that wants to threaten our society, kick them out. It's not hard. You just place them on a boat, you place them on a plane, you put them in a fucking catapult if you have to, and fling them over the channel. We don't want them. We have said this many fucking times, and I know people aren't going to like what I have to say, but here's the thing about me, and you lot can say it with me. I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm going to say it exactly how it is, and I'll do my best not to bullshit you. Because right now, this country is in a major crisis right now. And it's not because we're not letting in these invaders from their third world shitholes, most of them. It is the fact we are packed to the brim, and it almost seems like Keir the Traitor Starmer wants to see this country sink. We don't want them. Send them back. If you don't want to send them back, take them in your fucking homes. I guarantee you, if these left-wing wankers had any of these people in their homes, that were committing these atrocities to our women and children, their opinions would change just like that. They'd be like, yo, you know what? We don't want them here. They would instantly change their opinions. They would instantly see us as people who are genuinely concerned and people who actually are on the right side of fucking history. Can people understand why I get so pissed off when I hear the constant jabbering of the left wing saying, oh, we have a humanitarian cause to these people. We should take more of these people in, even though we're completely stuffed. Oh, God. I could lose it. I really could lose it. I swear to God. Oh, it's infuriating beyond belief. Like, count to 10. Breathe. 1, 2, 3. Ah! Right, I've got that out of my system. I actually fucking needed that. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, he can't help me. I'm too far gone. Anyway, let's move on to something where I can really give someone a grilling, because it's time for that old monthly gag, what it seems like, which is the TV licensing letter. So I've received another one of those things. I showed the red envelope earlier, but just in case. Here you go, red envelope. Not even worth the paper it's printed on. But got my address. Dear legal occupier, you would think they would have learned my fucking name by now, especially considering I actually put out a petition where my real name is actually shown. So you'd think these guys actually would have my fucking name. But no, apparently not. Them's the breaks. Anyway, as you have not responded to our letters yet, you have left us no alternative but to proceed with the final stages of our investigation, of my investigation, fuck me. An officer has been scheduled to visit to find out if TV is being watched, recorded or downloaded illegally. The officer may visit your property any day of the week, morning or evening. The information below explains the procedure. You may refer to it during a visit from the officer. Trying to imply that they're of any importance whatsoever. As usual, signed by Scott Robson, the Regional Manager of Enforcement. Well, frankly, why do they keep doing it on a printed signature rather than wet ink? Maybe that would make me feel, maybe this is genuine. But then again, I don't really need to listen to it. Every time I see one of these letters, if they were talking to me like this, it would be in one ear and out the other. What you need to know about the enforcement process. We can apply to court for a search warrant to gain access to your property. Well, the only time they're ever going to do that is if you basically show any signs of suspicion that you might be watching it. If you show any signs whatsoever that you could be watching TV, like you're sweating, or you basically, what I've had my neighbour give me, which I've mentioned before, is they gave me this thing that says removal of implied rights of access. But some BBC goons, stroke number 3, racketeering groups like Capita, is they will see that and they'll think, why are they doing that? That could be good grounds for me to go and get a warrant. So you have to be careful with that. I personally wouldn't have that on. I still appreciate what my neighbour has done, because he's doing this with good intentions, but you know what they say, the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, quite frankly. But that's beside the point. The point is that they can only really apply for a search warrant if they believe there's reasonable suspicion or enough evidence that they believe that you are watching this kind of thing. Oh, and one more thing. The only way they can do you on this TV licensing shit is you have to be watching anything on BBC iPlayer, watching or recording live TV, or basically, I think there was one other, I can't remember it. Oh wait, no, I think that is it. Watching or recording live TV or watching anything on BBC iPlayer on any device, basically. But as I said, as long as you don't do that, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Because in the end, you're not breaking the law. Therefore, they can't do you. So if they do go and apply for a warrant, joke's on them. They've wasted money and time trying to get into your house, trying to see whether or not you're actually breaking the law when you're actually not. So, an officer may interview you under caution in accordance with national criminal law. Well, the way they word it, they're not wrong. An officer can do it, but it has to be a police officer. It can't be one of their licensed goons. That's where they're trying to mislead you with their wording. They're trying to say, oh, we can interview you under caution. No, you can't. The only people who are allowed to do that are the police. And that's only if they have reasonable suspicion to suspect that you're guilty of a crime. That's the thing you have to remember. These people are not anything special. They're basically glorified salesmen. And the approach you do with them, I'll get to at the end. But, third point, anything you say to the officer may be used in evidence in court. Again, police officer, not the licensed goon. They are not the police. Only the police are the police. You may have to pay a fine of up to £1,000 plus any costs and or compensation. Most I've seen anybody have to pay is like 300 quid. And even then, that's a exception rather than the rule. Most people sometimes even only have to pay less than what it costs for the TV license fee. Now, of course, I'm not going to advocate for anybody to break the law, but I will say that it's not likely that you're going to get fined £1,000 for not having a TV license. That's just ridiculous. And if your property needs a TV license, you will still need to buy one. Oh no. Well, I'm not going to buy one. Because the thing is, I've never watched anything live. I've never recorded anything live. I don't watch anything on BBC iPlayer. I don't even have a fucking television, let alone want to listen to anything live on my phone or whatever. So, the way I see it, the BBC and its racketeering group can take one of these and swivel, quite frankly. But how do you deal with these TV license goons when they come up to the door and you hear that dreaded... Simple. 3 steps. You see them? Ideally, you want to do it from behind a closed door. Or, if you have to open it, you partially open it so they can't just barge their way in. And you say, hello, who are you? And then they have to identify themselves. Hello, I'm this guy, I'm from TV licensing. No, thank you, goodbye. Bang. That's it. That's all you need to do. 3 steps. Partially open door, identify person, closed door in face. That's it. The moment you do that, they can't do anything else. Their investigation is over. Bam. Game over. The mainstream media, of course, won't tell you that. But that's all you need to do with these license goons. As soon as you do that, they can't do shit, put simply. But as far as everything else, the bottom line is, we are facing a massive crisis in this country right now. And it is a crisis that it seems the only people capable of doing their job is our own fucking people. Not the politicians in 10 Downing Street, not the people in the mainstream media, not the people over the shores in France who could stop these boats but choose not to. Our own lads are having to do the job the police should be. We can't take any more of these people. We don't want any more of these people. Because right now, we've got no vetting process for these dickheads. We've got no process to tell, oh, he's a terrorist, oh, he's a murderer, oh, he's a good lad, oh, that guy's a scumbag. We have nothing to identify these people with. Because all they do as well is whenever they get their passports, they throw them into the ocean, or they rip them up, or they give it to their dog, or whatever. They basically get rid of their passports. And then they claim new ones from the United Kingdom. Hell, that's what Shabana Mahmood wants to plan. Give everyone British passports, or sorry, English passports. and say, well, we can't deport them now because they're fully integrated. No, they're not fully integrated. They're savages. And they will always be savages because they come from the third world. And you may not like the way I word it, but that is the cold, bitter truth. These people from their third world shitholes, they're savages. They're barbarians. They're cavemen, I would argue. They don't think with the head on their shoulders. They think with the head between their legs. They think, who's the easiest target? They think, who can we get our rocks off to? Am I wrong? Well, the Pakistani community haven't proved me wrong yet. In fact, they've actually proved me right more than quite a few dozen times. So what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But the way I see it, we can't continue to let these people in. We mustn't let Shabana Mahmood become Prime Minister. Otherwise, God help us all. Because I've said this before, I'll say it here again. I am not a fully devout Christian. I probably never will be. I've blasphemed too many times. And I know there's the basic sayings of, oh, repent all your sins or you're going to hell and all that shit. I can't be bothered with those people who want to proselytize to me. And I'm never going to sign on to that. Never. I will happily fight for their Christian cause of fighting for a Christian country. I will happily have them fight for their claim, which is rightfully theirs. But don't ask me to become a Bible thumper. That's just not going to happen. But at the end of the day, this is a Christian country. It should always remain a Christian country. And Christianity should be religiously, pun intended, taught in every fucking school. We should teach them about other religions as well, but we need to be pushing Christianity as that is effectively this country's bloodline. Not Islam, not Sikhism, not Judaism, not not the Catholic religion or whatever it is. Christianity. That is the heart of this country. This is their land. And I will help them, if necessary, fight to protect that land. I will not let Islam take over and impose Sharia law and ruin the lives of homosexual people by throwing them off of buildings, or the lives of women who will then get effectively treated as second-class citizens. It's ironic how the left wing always cry racism when we call out Islam. But when that elephant in the room shows itself, no one seems to speak up. No one's willing to speak up for the rights of the gays or the women when it comes to Islam.